We're working this month on a series of integrating our beautiful spiritual consciousness with the world around us. Today I'm speaking to you about over and underachieving. Has anyone ever told you that you thought things? Yeah. And have you ever called yourself an underachiever? Yes. Most of the time people don't say that to you. We tend to say it to ourselves. But one a little bit today. So let's just begin with thinking. Do you realize how much you think? Do you realize that you're thinking all the time? We live with these beautiful computers in our heads, and all the vast innovative ideas you see with the computer technology and advancement in this, and we just think, whoa, that's just so stellar. We're out in space, we're in the ocean. We have such great technological advances. All of that came from within the computer in our heads. We have such vast capacities to think. Everything that's without us was within us. Does it feel daunting? Take a breath. The great capacity that you have for innovative thinking is immense. Innovative thinking. The word I looked up actually comes from root words that mean intense and new. Intense new thought. The capacity for us to think intense new thought. How exciting is that? Yet when we think, you're thinking when you're not thinking you're thinking. You're thinking you're watching TV, but you're actually having opinions about what you're doing. You're thinking when you're reading the book going, why'd they do that? Your brain is constantly engaged. And the studies tell us that a great percentage, like 90-something%, of the thoughts that we think every day are the same thoughts we thought yesterday, and the same thoughts we'll think tomorrow. So this beautiful computer who has this vast capacity for innovative thought, we have kind of made into a replicator. It just keeps going round and round. And we feel sometimes a little stuck because of that. So this is what they said. When a divine idea comes into our mind, on those rare occasions when we get, and we're all metaphysical students, right? So we get those little hits where we go, oh, I've never thought that before. This is a divine idea. They said every time a divine idea comes into your mind, one file in your mind always opens. And it's the file called doubt. And when that file opens, it has access to all the data. But now all the data is viewed through the I don't think so. So we start going through the doubt file in our mind. We have this idea, we don't know what it means. It's kind of different. And we start accessing the current directory. And there's nothing in the directory that anywhere near looks like this idea. And so we look at our outer world, and it doesn't look like there's any way this idea will fit in our outer world. We go through the past experiences, and there's nothing in the past that reflects this idea. So what do you do with it? We typically just stick it in a file. And that file is called dismissed. And then it sits there. And the access to the dismissal file is very limited. There aren't all these massive trails that go there to open up like the doubt file does. It just sits there by itself. So we have this wonderful idea, and we don't know if it's extremely innovative or not, because we do not see how it will fit in that which is familiar in our world. Okay, so, overthinking, underachieving. They said to achieve is to accomplish something successful. When you always do what you've always done, do you ever really feel like you've achieved something? You got it done. Achieving really occurs when you feel like you've risen above what you normally do. So, they said overthinking, underachieving could actually be repetitive thinking, repetitive behavior. Repetitive thinking, repetitive behavior. And so you really don't get that great, I got something done, because you really did nothing than what you normally do. So, how do we allow divine ideas to create divine movement or divine manifestation? Innovation, I love it. New, intense ideas creating new, intense movement. It's pretty exciting, isn't it? So they wanted us to look at a few things about divine ideas, and the first one is how to find a divine idea. We have to really first ask. I ask for a divine idea about myself, my life, my career, whatever it is. And if you want to get out of the routine, do you want something new? Yes, so we ask for something new. And have all of you at some time or another asked for a divine idea? Yes. So, sometimes we sit in meditation and say, divine idea, God. Divine idea, God. And then we sit, and then it doesn't come, and then we get a little disappointed, and then we get up and we go about our day. Divine ideas typically drop in while you're going about your day. Spirit asked me to share with you all a story. This is, thank you, that one, yeah. I wanted a biblical example of a divine idea, and they asked me to share this with you. When I was a little girl, I was in the 6th grade, so I was 11 or 12. And I made a commitment that I was going to read the Bible, cover to cover. And so I started Genesis, all the way down. And I was going to read every word because I wanted to know what it said. So I started my journey, and I found out 2 things very quickly. Number 1, there is a whole lot in here that preachers never talk about. Just trust that. Number 2, there's a whole lot of begats in here. And so-and-so begat so-and-so, and they begat so-and-so, and they begat so-and-so. Well, from a little 6th grade brain, I'm going, oh, I'm not going to make it through this. So I had to create a way to wake up my mind to what I was reading, because I didn't want to not read it. So I decided I would slow down, and I would try to pronounce every name. Instead of just, I'd slow down and read out loud and try to pronounce it in my head and try to pronounce every name I read. And so that was my process, and I was reading, and I was reading, and I didn't get very far very fast, but I kept going. And one day I hit this, so I want to share it with you. So I'm reading along. Let's see. I'll do the best I can. And the sons of Heli were Zereth, and Zeohar, and Ethanen, and Cause begat Anub, and Zobahah, and the families of Ahahel, and the son of Harum. And Jabez was more honorable than his brethren, and his mother called him Jabez, saying, I bear him in sorrow. And Jabez called on the Lord of Israel, saying, O that thou wouldest bless me indeed, and enlarge my coast, that thine hand might be with me, and that thou wouldest keep me from evil, that it may not grieve me. And God granted him that which he requested. And Shalab, the brother of Shua, begat Mihir, which was the father of Eshton, and Eshton begat, and here we go again. Well, in my little brain I went, excuse me, what is this story held in the middle of the begats? Who is this Jabez? And how did he get a prayer in here? I mean, we're talking a bunch of people, and I hit Jabez, and he gets to talk to God, and his prayer gets in here. And I was, even as a child, in 6th grade, I was like, well, Jabez must be something else to have his prayer put in this Bible. And I knew in that moment I wanted to have that kind of prayer power. I wanted my little heart to be that important, that my prayers would be as valuable as Jabez's prayer, that it would be included here. Do you see how important Jabez must have been to me? And then I went on with my begats, and begetting and begetting and begetting. So this was the point they wanted me to bring up to you. As I was walking through that which was mine to do, in the middle of it came something that was different. And it actually quickened within me a divine idea, didn't it? My little heart said, oh, I'm going to be that good of a prayer, that my prayer has that kind of power. You know, that he must have been really good. He must have been such an honored man. And then I didn't know quite what to do with that, so I put it in a little file that said, anomalies of the Bible, don't quite understand, but I did not dismiss it. And I went on reading the begats. Later, as I walked in my world, I heard about the prayer of Jabez quite often. But this is what they wanted me to remind you. If you pay attention to the thoughts you are thinking, you will see when a divine thought drops in. I was paying attention to the words I was reading. I was paying attention. If you're not paying attention to your thoughts, a divine idea has little chance being recognized. Do you hear what I'm saying? They said, pay attention to your baseline, which is going to be different from everybody else's, but you have a massive computer up there. So you all have a baseline of thoughts that repeat over and over. If you will pay attention, you will see the divine idea, then you can recognize that you did ask for it. Now, like me, you may not understand it. So, recognize it and file it. And they suggested your file be innovative thought. I just had an innovative thought. Have no idea what it means, but it's quite innovative because it's outside the baseline and it has a basic love frequency to it. And I feel it came from Spirit. Do you see? Do you see the importance of paying attention to your thoughts? Okay. Then they said every divine idea will be followed by divine guidance. They don't just give you divine ideas to see if you can catch it. But the divine guidance may be later down the road. It may be another time and space, you know? It may be the child would use the information as an adult. It may be this divine idea manifests in your world. Y'all hear me? So often we take the divine idea and we don't trust that divine guidance will come, but it will come. So, the prayer of Jabez, again, as I grew, I heard of it periodically. You know, people would speak of it and then they'd use the prayer for themselves. And, you know, it was a big thing, you know, maybe in the 80s, and then, you know, you'd hear about it coming around to be refocused on again. Someone got the divine guidance to write a book about it. And this was about 2001, perhaps. A divine prayer that's been there for a long time. Someone got the divine idea, I will write a book about the prayer of Jabez. And it became a bestseller. It became probably one of the strongest religious bestsellers in years. Simply the prayer of Jabez. Millions of people read it. Millions of people read it. And it is, bless me indeed, God, expand my territory, let your hand be upon me, let me not do evil, let me not hurt any man. Do you see? So people started saying this prayer. They now had access to a divine idea. They were saying the prayer and probably getting divine expansion. But it was easier for them, wasn't it? Why? Because someone else was leading the way. Because this man wrote the book, and he was prospered tremendously for it. Got the guidance to write it. Many people were able to get this idea, make it real for them, and follow, tucked up under his wing of leadership. You see? Do you think he might have doubted his guidance to write a book about it? We don't know. Maybe he said, everybody knows the prayer of Jabez. Why should I try? You know, we don't know. But we know that that one act touched millions of hearts. So, the divine ideas you have out of nowhere. Sometimes you have a difficult time validating and feeling the impetus to move forward. That doubt file opens. And this is what they're telling us to do. If you will, simply write down your divine ideas, place it in the file, and then bless it. And wait for the guidance. The guidance will open up in the right and perfect time for the right and perfect reason. Then you get back to work. Then you get back to work. Everybody feeling it? Okay.